You're in the Business Insurance Zone with me, Steve Savant, national insurance columnist and financial color commentator. And today and all this week, we're talking about Indexed Universal Life, the total sales solution with architect and marketing guru, Eric Palmer.
When it comes to life insurance, annuities, long-term care, disability, or group pension plans, we're the news you can use.
Well, welcome everyone. I'm Steve Savant, your host of the Business Insurance Zone, and we're broadcasting live to a nationwide audience of financial advisors right here in Fountain Hills, Arizona, home of America's largest fountain. And day 4 with us, Eric Palmer, and I had to say marketing guru because you have really upped your game. You've been doing this for 10 years. Everybody says, how did they do it? Well, David, our boss, our owner, and Eric came in and brought the whole technology of internet marketing, social media. Now we're moving on up in our game to infomercials on television. I mean, we are really playing in the big leagues and actually, I think, kind of setting the tone for marketing in the future. And when we talk about the marketing turnkey, if you haven't seen the shows previous to today, you need to go back to Monday's show. I think you'll understand it a lot better. Go back to Monday's show and watch them in succession, and I think you'll get a good appreciation. Now, Eric, when we're talking about today's show, this is kind of we kind of get a little part where I kind of like it, and usually Ken Davis comes in here, we talk about taxes. We want to talk a little bit about taxes on this, and it actually addresses it, in my view, in an easy to understand format.
Well, absolutely. We make some assumptions, of course, in the presentation. It defaults to a 25% tax bracket, but it's customizable. So if you're actually able to find out what tax bracket your client's in, at least to show them how it would be today, because we can't predict the future of taxes. Right. We all think they're going up, but we can't predict it. So we can give them some different outlooks on taxes, and we disclose that, of course, we're not tax professionals, but these are how these products operate. Right. And this calculator that you can customize and the discussion that we give in the presentation really shows the client that there are major advantages to taking loans out of life insurance compared to taking withdrawals out of traditional retirement plans. No matter how you do the math, and I've looked at this, I've put every little age group, tried to break the calculator myself. No matter how you do the math, you're going to pay back all the taxes you deferred in your pre-retirement years within the first couple of years of taking withdrawals. So right off the bat, all those years that you were taking advantage of that tax-free distribution, or excuse me, that tax-free accrual and accumulation, you're going to pay all the taxes back right away. Okay, so you get past that. Then it talks about, well, because you're paying taxes on these withdrawals, you have to take a lot more to get the right net spendable income. So because of taxes, you have to take more out of your plan than you probably need, which reduces the overall balance of that plan. And unless you're maintaining a very high rate of return on the traditional plan, it's going to run out probably in 7 to 8 years. Now, if you've got some a secret to investing and you're getting a 12, 15% return on your portfolio, okay, you've got me. It'll last a little bit longer than 7 to 8 years. But the majority of the people, the statistics show and the math shows that most of these traditional plans are going to run out. We also know that the baby boomers are going to have some Social Security. Gen X may not have some Social Security. We don't know yet. We can't rely on it. And Social Security already only is fractional compared to what we need. So there's no doubt that you need supplemental income. And when that 401k runs out, what are you going to do? Okay, so that's the picture that's painted with the presentation and the commercial, and the calculator then takes and makes a real comparison of what you've got today and what an IUL can do on the tax side of things. And of course, we're making some assumptions. We're assuming loans. We can also look at withdrawals to basis, loans to gains. There's things that we can do behind the scenes when we're illustrating the policies, but what the client is learning is that life insurance lends to a tax-free potential distribution of those monies, and that's what they're responding to. That's where they go, gosh, this is it, I got to be involved.
I remember when we say things like this, we're saying it has to be it can't be a modified endowment, it has to be a non-MEC. We have to keep the policy in force for the life of the client.
And that's a big subject. I think most advisors, if they've watched our shows in the past, they've learned this, but a lot of people still don't know. If that policy lapses, well, guess what? You've got a huge check you owe the IRS because you got to go back and pay taxes on all those loans that you took out of the policy. So we have to, and we reiterate this all the time, and I hate to be redundant, but you have to work with Brokers Alliance to learn how to run these illustrations the most efficient way, because if you're not doing it right, then you're doing a disservice to your client. You know, we've got to do them right, we've got to illustrate them correctly and keep the costs down and make sure the policy has the ability to stay in force, and set realistic expectations. Don't run it at 9.5 because it allows you to run it at 9.5. Okay, show them what 7 looks like, show them what 6 looks like. We have a lot of great charts here that talk about probabilities of returns on the S&P and other indexes. So, you know, work with Brokers Alliance and get the illustrations done the correct way, and you'll never have to lose sleep at night.
I saw a contract just about 4 weeks ago that did not have overloan protection on it, and I looked at it and I said, there's no way the mechanics of this is going to work, so it would default. Now, Eric just said that there would be taxable event on all the constructive receipt of policy loans that the client take. But when we did the in-force ledger, we also had taxes on the inside because the client didn't pay the interest all those years. So now I have 2 ordinary income tax events. One is on all the money I took on loans, and then the second one was all the money that were created on loans because we didn't pay the interest.
Right.
Heads up, we look at this. I cannot tell you and stress how much we're trying to do our due diligence and make sure the mechanics of our non-MEC contracts actually work the way we're talking about. And I like Eric's allusion to our, we have looked at different modelings, whether it's been Monte Carlo, the S&P. We're looking at this all the time to try to get realistic numbers so that that illustration, that proposal actually has some chance of reality.
Right, absolutely. And actually, you know, something else that's really important is we're talking about taxes, we're talking about taking loans. We mentioned it again, and I think in the first show, but you know, nobody's going to be there other than the agent if they're still in the business to help facilitate those loans and facilitate that process for the client. We actually have one of our carriers, I'm not going to mention him here, you got to find out who it is. They've priced a loan team into their policies. So they're going to have an actual team dedicated to help consumers in the future take the loans, keep the policies in force, and do it the right way. And of course, you got to call us to find out who that is.
Well, not only find out who it is, but I still think we should make a company that just does that alone.
Right.
You can call us on any of the issues we're talking about at 1-800-290-7226 or write me at thebiz@brokersalliance.com. And remember, you can always hop out to our website, www.brokersalliance.com. When we come back from the break, we'll talk more about this unbelievable sales solution.
You're listening to the insurance industry's #1 resource for products, planning ideas, carrier information, and interviews you can use. When it comes to life insurance, annuities, long-term care, disability, or group pension plans, we're the news you can use.
Companies in our business are always touting service, products, and underwriting. And we do that too. But here's the difference. Now enter the world of the elite producer with a value package that cuts us out of the pack. A BD that approves social media marketing of non-FINRA products and doesn't take an override. With the best competition desk in the industry, and for our loyal producers, a true group health plan. No one offers that. Brokers Alliance does. Well, welcome everyone back to Business Insurance Zone with me, Steve Savant. And I have to say, Eric and I are talking about, I think, the most revolutionary turnkey sales solution that I've seen since I've been in the IMO business almost 30 years now. And when we're looking at it, why do we do it? Because we're trying to construct and design something that our producers can use every day and in English. This is the best part about this whole presentation.
Right.
The client gets it, I get it on the first pass. This is not difficult.
Well, and I think it gives the agent a track to run on that's compliant, that's suitable, that does the right thing, examines the right things for the clients, does the right comparisons, and educates them properly so that 10 years from now, nobody's questioning why they made the choice that they made. And you know, as advisors, a lot of times there's so many options, there's so many concepts out there, so much to go on. I could be selling whole life, I could be selling term, annuities. Well, you should probably know about all of it, but the reality is that the broader spectrum of our market today is responding to alternatives to retirement. And annuities are not the #1 solution for that, especially for the younger ages. So 20-somethings, 30-somethings, 40-somethings, IULs are really one of the best options you can examine. And so with the tools and the materials and this whole system that we've put together, the solution really becomes your ability to educate your client, get them interested, make them engaged, make them want to actually look at a life insurance illustration. And when they look at it, they're going to believe what you're saying because you've gone through the foundations of it and they understand what they're interpreting. They know how to interpret, you know, the benefits that you're trying to show them. So it's going to make sales a lot easier. It's the fastest growing market right now. You can't ignore it. And so we're really excited about it. I think it's gonna be a big deal.
You know, we talked about taxes on this first segment. You know, I have to add, just because we drilled down into this, and by the way, we're going to have a series coming up late August, somewhere there, on Social Security. We're going to be talking about all the games that can be played on Social Security. There are some serious strategies, but heads up, Indexed Universal Life, done the way we're proposing, will never cause your Social Security benefits to be taxed.
Right.
Unlike almost everything else except Roth IRAs.
Right.
So I'll pull that off the table. When you look at that and say, what is my net, all in, spendable cash at retirement? Now we're talking about the IUL, the Indexed Universal Life, producing tax-free income, and it's not used for the provisional income test for Social Security.
Right.
Now we're talking even more money when you look at the actual net result.
Right, and I think that the two biggest things that the rebuttals that we have to overcome every single time when we're talking to clients about this specific subject is fees and taxes. And that's also what's most important to them. How much is this costing me? And taxes, that's all we ever really care about. So the presentation and the video does an excellent job of explaining the benefits. And then we even get, we make mention at the end of it, we get into, well, there's other things that these IULs can do for you. No contribution limits, given the MEC standards and the insurability of the client, how much insurance we can purchase, of course. There's also penalties if you take withdrawals prior to 59 and a half. That's a big issue. Some people are retiring early, or some people just have emergencies and need $10,000. If you take a loan out of your 401k or you take a loan out of your traditional retirement plan, there might be restrictions, penalties, or problems with accessing that money. If the money's there in the IUL, you have the ability to loan it to yourself. It's there for you if it's before 59 and a half, and you're not going to pay a penalty on it.
It's a tragedy. We talked about this Monday, $37 billion in loan defaults to 401ks, people who lost their job or people who transferred job who have a 60-day window to pay that loan back. That's been a tragedy enough alone. Now, you brought up fees and taxes. I want to bring up one more because the mantra of the baby boom psychology right now is, I don't want beta risk. Eric, I don't want it. I went through 2008 and got pummeled. And for most of us that were around in the early 80s, we went through the 87 crash, the 2001 through 3 tech bubble.
Right.
Now we're going through it again for the third time in my life. I got to tell you something. Preservation of principle, right, is an issue, and not having beta risk is a big one.
Absolutely. And of course, we are talking in a lot of situations here, and a lot of the examples that we give about loan types. We use variable loans right now because they're participating in those returns of the index, and it makes a good story. But we do examine this also behind the scenes, showing fixed loans. Again, we're looking at what's most appropriate for the client, and we're making the right decisions. And we're doing this analysis alongside the advisor. So we take all these benefits, we're displaying all these benefits, and behind the scenes, we're constructing the most appropriate product, carrier, underwriting, all the other things that go into life insurance. And I think that's where we kind of bring this thing full circle, is that we don't just give you the presentation, you make the sell, and then leave you hanging so the sale goes away or doesn't get placed. I mean, life insurance underwriting is not always easy.
No.
And designing these policies is not always just a quick couple of clicks of a button. So we're really taking it to the next level and supporting the advisors and giving them the back office that they need to get things done, and so they can focus on delivering this presentation over and over again.
We have conservative clients. We have more moderate and more experienced clients. They understand arbitrage. They understand the participating loans. So we have loan solutions for everybody, from zero net cost loans all the way up to participating loans. And some of them are contractually guaranteed, some of them are current company practice, but we track all that.
Right.
And that's why Eric brings up this issue, is we really micromanage the due diligence on this, so that when we talk about this, especially in the infomercial, all this background stuff that we're doing that nobody sees in the infomercial or anything like that, we're doing all that to support the reality of this is actually going to be somewhere in the game. This could actually happen.
Right.
So we want to give the potential always.
Now, you brought up a really interesting topic there just a couple of minutes ago. You mentioned a Roth IRA. So let's talk about non-qualified money for a second, because I think that's
it's going to have to be a second.
It's going to be a real quick second. This isn't just for traditional retirement plans.
Oh, that's right.
You can make comparisons with non-qualified plans. You can also talk about the taxes paid on those gains every single year. What are the options for non-qualified money today? So it's just not singular to traditional retirement plans. It's wide open.
That's right. When you think about it, take everything all in. We'll do the math, whether it's qualified or not, Roth or whatever. You've been listening to the Business Insurance Zone. That's the buzz on the biz for today. Don't forget to watch tomorrow's show, because we're going to close out the show with, in my view, the actual excellent way how you can be part of this total package.
The Biz is brought to you by Brokers Alliance. a national leader in insurance products, support services, and educational workshops. When it comes to life insurance, annuities, long-term care, disability, or group pension plans, we're the news you can use.